Hi everyone, my name is Danielle and I work for a very special place called the Dixon Gallery and Gardens. The Dixon Gallery is an art museum here in Memphis, but we have artwork that travels from all over the world to be exhibited in our gallery spaces. At the Dixon, not only do we have artwork, but we also have a huge garden space, so you can enjoy beautiful things both inside and outside at the museum. Today, though, we are going to be talking about an exhibition visiting the museum from January 23rd through May 9th called America's Impressionism, Echoes of a Revolution. Impressionism is a style of artwork that began in Paris in the mid-19th century. Impressionist paintings have a distinct style. They are known for their visible and broad brushstrokes. One thing that was really important to the Impressionist was to show a distinction between changing light. In this first painting, you can see that the woman and the child are in the shadows. But if we look past the shadows and deeper into the garden, everything is flooded with light and bright colors. By having the woman and child be in the shadows, but having the bright lights throughout the garden, the artist is giving us an impression of a distinct time of day, maybe late afternoon, in which this moment is happening. Here's a second example of Impressionist painting using light as a primary subject matter. In this one, we have another garden, but the light is being shown filtered through the trees. So we have more of a contrast from the darker shades of green to the brighter shades of green. It almost looks like it's dancing and moving on the painting. In this painting from the Dixon's permanent collection, you can see it looks quite different from the first two. But what all three have in common is that changing shade of light. We have high contrast between the shadows and the light that's shining on this landscape. Today we're going to use the Impressionist paintings as inspiration for our own digital work of art. Rather than trying to mimic and copy what we've already seen today, we're going to instead try and implement that contrast of light and dark colors in a whole new way. Let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is open Paint 3D on your surface and start a new canvas. The next thing is to apply a grid on top. We have provided a PDF copy for you to place directly onto your canvas. You can just stretch it out and make it the correct size. If you have trouble downloading the PDF grid, you can always use the 2D shape tool at the top to draw straight lines and create your own. This is just faster. Once my grid is in place, I'm using the marker tool at the side to draw a picture. Now you can draw whatever kind of picture you like. The only rule of this is you don't really want too much detail. You don't want things to overlap. If we have too much overlapping, later when we start creating our color patterns, things will get pretty complicated and they may not turn out how we like. Later, we're going to be using the paint bucket tool, which does not work properly if there are any openings or gaps in your shapes. So it might be helpful to zoom in the way I am now and checking all of your shapes to make sure there are no openings. Now that my drawing is finished, I'm ready to start adding color. I'm going to click on the paint bucket tool, and I like to lower the opacity. The opacity is how see-through your color is. I'll demonstrate so you can see the difference. So this is a lower opacity of black. But if I slide that scale back up to 100, it looks like this. See the difference? When the opacity is lower, the color is much lighter. The reason I'm going to do this, I'll show you later, it's so we can add some details at the end. All right, so once I get that opacity back down a little bit, I'm going to go through and fill in the background of every other rectangle, kind of like a checkerboard grid. I'm going to do the backgrounds first and ignore the objects. If at any point you make a mistake, you can hit the undo button at the top of your screen and try again. Sometimes if you have a rectangle with lots of detail, it's easiest if you zoom in first. Now that the backgrounds are colored in, I'm ready to go back and start filling in these shapes. So anywhere where I left the background white, I'm going to go back and fill in the shape with black. And just like before, if I have a shape that has an opening, I can grab that marker tool again and fill it in. No worries. Now that I've finished filling out all of the color, I can call this a finished project. We've got this really nice back and forth, this kind of optical illusion happening with our high contrast, but I think it would be fun to add some more details, make it really look finished and polished. So I'm picking my marker tool and I've got that opacity up to 100 this time. Remember at the beginning, we talked about the high contrast of the black when it was at 100 opacity instead of lower down. So if I use my marker tool, I made it a little bit thicker than it was before. I can go back and create shading and details and lines to enhance my picture of my flowers. So I'm outlining the edges, and I'm going to add in some little details, like the lines that you might see at the edge of the stem, or the creases in the petals. You can even go through with the eraser tool if you have some lines that are overlapping, kind of clean that up. I also don't want to forget to add detail to my white spaces as well. So I'm going through and I'm cleaning those edges up just like I did before. And then I'm going to use gray to create my lines on the white space, the same way I'm using the darker black to create lines on the black space. Once I feel I've added all the detail I need, I have a finished product that I can save on my computer. Now I used black and white, but you could use any kind of colors that you liked for your project to create this interesting high contrast work of art. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you had as much fun creating as I did. If you are particularly proud of your creation, you can share it with us using the hashtag #DixonAtHome or Discover the Dixon. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell so that you can see more fun activities and other cool videos from the Dixon Gallery and Gardens. I hope y'all have a great day and thanks again. Bye.